Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome yet again to another session of the 2024 DTB KB Financial Literacy and Enterprise Development session. Thank you for being committed to learning and growing your businesses. So as usual, we would love to hear where you're joining us from, and we'd also love to hear from participants on what lessons have been very key for you. What have you already implemented in your business? And if you'd want to speak about it, you can raise your hand. We will take maybe one or two so that we get to hear from different people on what they're implementing. Last week, we had the module on taxation for SMEs, a very engaging module. And I think many of us have gained quite a lot from the session. And today we have a very interesting session on emotional intelligence. And so I hope you are ready to understand more about emotional intelligence and what it has to do with your business. So karibuni sana. As you come in, you can let us know where you're joining us from, and feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to share maybe a key learning that you have implemented from the trainings so far. Would love to hear to see what has changed maybe for your business in the few days or weeks that we have been in the sessions. So karibuni sana. We have Odundo from Nairobi, Ida from Switzerland. We have Ngendi. I hope I get your name right, but Ngendi Mwene, you have been very consistent. So karibuni sana. Duncan from Machakos, Figa from Nakuru. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we'd want to learn more about what you have gained from the sessions, what you've implemented in your businesses. Would love to understand. So, as I've mentioned, we have a session today on emotional intelligence, and just a few house rules. Just like last week, we will, during the presentation, disable chats just to prevent any distractions, and then we'll enable them during the Q&A session and during the break. But we will take all questions from the Q&A tab. So if you have any questions, please address them to the question and answer tab at the bottom of your screen. We also have the interpretation tab at the bottom of the screen. I'll also be sharing the same on the chat so that everyone can be able to follow comfortably. And as you note, we will have today's trainer, who is Duncan Degwa. Duncan has been with us from the beginning. And so you'll get to hear more from him as he takes us through emotional intelligence in business. He is a business development specialist, has trained businesses, and has vast experience in working with SMEs, the journey towards their business development. We also have Abby and Victor, as well as Faith, who will be our sign language interpreters for today. And so they will be either in the interpretation tab or at the top of your screens. You'll be able to see them. So karibuni sana. I see Angad has their hand up. So I think you would want to share maybe a lesson you've learned or you've implemented. So I'll unmute you, Angad. Please proceed to unmute, and you can share a thing or two before we begin. Angad, I don't know if you're speaking, you're on mute. Okay, it seems maybe there's an issue with the sound. That's okay. All right, so I think without much further ado, I would like to help us get into emotional intelligence. And before I welcome Duncan, just like to share a quote, and maybe Duncan will let us know if that is in line or it is very off. So understanding emotional intelligence is and emotional intelligence is not the opposite of intelligence. It is not the trump of heart over head. It is the unique intersection of both. So karibu sana Duncan, as you take us through the session.
Yes, thank you very much, Mantui. That's a very good start with a wonderful quote. We'll be seeing another one down the road about the same topic. And I believe we will learn a lot from them. Otherwise, I'm happy to meet you again. Already I have 168 entrepreneurs listening to this. I always don't take it for granted, this opportunity. My name is still Duncan Kandegwa. I'm presenting from Nairobi, and it is always a pleasure. This is a journey we started many years ago, around 2017 or thereabout, when we were contracted to work on this package, and we have seen the package grow in leaps and bounds. We started with the face-to-face training. Then we came to online after 2020 when Corona hit us. So it is always a pleasure to meet you and exchange views. I've always had a lot of feedback from you through my email. Very good questions. That means that we are building something together. So whenever we meet, we are here for business, to make your businesses grow and to meet the needs of customers, because all of us, we are on a growing continuum. So we always cherish this moment to make ourselves better than yesterday and to see ourselves grow. So I'm always very happy to see this product grow. I am happy to know that your enterprises are also growing from those many years that I have indicated since 2016 or thereabout. So today we have a very interesting topic on emotional intelligence for MSMEs and awareness for business success. This is a presentation that we are going to dwell more on packaging, on the emotional side of business and how it impacts on business. I want to welcome the company of Victor and Abe, who are the sign interpreters. So happy that our inclusion is getting better by the day. So emotional intelligence, as I said, is exploring the other side of business, which is not rational, is emotional and very interesting. And by the end of this, we shall have, as usual, 45 minutes first session. Today we shall do it differently because we shall have a 5 to 10 minutes Q&A before we go for break. Then we break for about 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Then we come back for a second session, which will take us from by another 45 minutes. So I mean, by 45 minutes, I mean we shall have the first session ending at around 10. Then we break we have a Q&A, then a break. Then we have a second session up around 11:15. Then the next Q&A, and we close at 11:30. So that is slightly different today because we have been having one QA at the end. So we shall have 2 Q&A sessions today, just to improve the interaction. So keep your questions ready, put it on the chats, and Mantui will help me to summarize them so that at 15 minutes, we can handle like 2, 3, 4, then at the end. So welcome. So Mantui, you can go to the next slide, where I will be looking at the outline of this presentation. First, we shall have an emotional intelligence overview. We shall focus on the why. Why do we need emotional intelligence in MSMEs? We shall look at entrepreneurship skills for effective, what you need to have as an entrepreneur, first of all, for effective EI, then steps to establishing emotional intelligence in your business. I'm aware we have several types of business. We have the micros, we have the small, we have the medium. And so I'll try every time to juggle between the three. Then after the steps, that's around the first break time. You shall come back to emotional intelligence improvement cycle, how you can improve your business, emotional intelligence. Then we shall look at the consequences of poor emotional intelligence in MSMEs, key success factors, and takeaways. So that is how our presentation is going to be today. And now we can dive to the first slide, where we want to look at generally what emotional intelligence is. And emotional intelligence broadly is that capacity of a human being, and this human being is the entrepreneur, to have perception and understand, manage and regulate emotions in one's business, because this is a very, very important facet of business. When you are taking marketing, we say that consumer behavior is one of the determinants of the bottom line of any business. And being that way, we say that consumer behavior keeps on changing, and their needs and wants keep on changing from time to time. And that is the nature of human beings. Nobody can be blamed. This is just human nature. So to have your business at a vantage position to handle this human nature of customers, we have to study emotional intelligence, because more than 50% of our decisions as customers are controlled by emotion. So EI is a very essential skill for you and for all of us, whether you are in micro, medium, or any other type of business, to leverage on customers' emotional states to benefit your business, and most of all, to provide the needed goods and services that are required by the market. So it is an essential skill for personal and professional success, and helps in communication, to communicate to customers, how to empathize with them, to be resilient, and most of all, for what business is about, and business management is about, decision making. We are all persuaded that, or what I was told in college when I went to learn management, is that we learn management for only one reason: to make that decision. A very humbling lesson that we go to school for decision making. So let's go next. Yes, now, Mantui, this is another quote I had, which we are going to unravel what emotional intelligence is about. And this is a personal perspective. This is not from Wahenga or some the guy who died in 5000 BC or somebody. This is mine, that throughout my learning in business development services, we have been persuaded to always listen to what is unspoken. I know it sounds philosophical, but when we deal with customers, when we deal with all the publics we deal with, it's always important to listen to the story behind the story, because that is where business is. That is where understanding is. It's good to observe, to be able to decipher what is not being revealed. And it's always good to speak, to decipher the hidden feelings and behavior. And this is my own perspective, because customers come hidden in emotional states. Customers come loaded with unspoken behavior. They come loaded with behavior you need to decode to know how best to meet their needs. For example, if somebody came to you in the morning and you said, "How are you?" and said, "It's fine." Saying it's fine is one thing, but looking fine is the other. That is why we say we listen to decipher the unspoken. Looking at them, you may be able to know whether somebody is fine or not. Consequently, it is able to know whether a customer is happy with the product, whether they say it is fine or not. Observe how they work with that product. Observe their behavior, unspoken behavior. Today, we are lucky we have customer reviews. And these reviews are very important because that is where they pour their emotion. I have been able to pour my emotion before for a product that is very good, but it is packaged as if it will never be opened. So you go ahead and break your fingers, nails on it, but the product is fine, it works well, it's good. But I have a problem with the way it is packaged. So when I'm opening it, my emotional state will come livid. And it's good to read such comments to understand what customers go through with your products. So listening to decipher the unspoken, observing to decipher the unrevealed, and speaking to decipher the hidden feelings and behavior is a summary I give to the whole totality of emotional intelligence, as we shall see shortly. Next, Mantui. So emotional intelligence in micro, small, and medium enterprises is the ability of the owners and managers to recognize, understand, and manage their own emotions. First of all, before we even manage the emotions of customers, it is good to understand your own emotions, because human beings are emotional. And although we try hiding so much on the rational side of doing things, most of the decisions we take are very emotional in nature. And that is why, as an entrepreneur in whatever level of business, it's always good to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotion first before you delve in business, and to know how that impacts in your business. So emotional intelligence plays a critical role in leadership, creating a kind of leadership that as much as you have your own emotional dimensions, they are well, and they are not supposed to hurt your business, because the emotions can be positive and negative. So should help you to build an effective leadership. And that is why we do policies so that can control our emotional states or our emotional interaction with business. It should help you to foster a good teamwork. And a good teamwork with employees and all those who work in your organization should not be controlled mainly by emotion or negative emotion, but should take advantage of the positive emotional energy from you and your team. So it also helps you to enhance customer relations, because customers are about, you need to do a customer study to understand what works for them. So that enhances the customer relations. And finally, it helps you to navigate challenges such as stress, especially among employees, and also to understand the competition. Next. Now, whenever we embark on any business, it's always good to understand the why, because until you understand the why, you'll never understand the how and the what to do. So as early as now, we are going to delve into why emotional intelligence is good for MSMEs, because it is, and we shall look at a few points. Number one, emotional intelligence helps to improve leadership and decision-making, because first of all, it enables you to deal with your own emotions and assess situations rationally. And this gives you a clearer thinking about your business and helps you to plan your business in a way that gives you better business outcomes. This helps you to work on a business plan that is devoid of negative emotion. And once you work on a business plan, it will help you to work on leadership and decision-making, or reveal how decision-making is going to be done in that business and how leadership is going to be structured in that business. And that is a starting point, because if you don't figure out very well at that point, then your business leadership will be affected. And just like we say that a fish rots from the head, then businesses also crumble because of poor leadership and decision-making at the top. So that is very important. Number two, emotional intelligence for MSMEs helps in enhance employee engagement and productivity. Employees or the staff come with your emotional states, and one of the key planks of business and dealing with employees is to make them feel wanted. First of all, to make them feel that whenever they come to work, they feel wanted, they feel appreciated, they feel that, yes, they are required in this enterprise. And this works to increase job satisfaction. Job satisfaction is very important in business. And happy, engaged employees are productive, innovative, and loyal. It is very important to have loyal employees, because only loyal employees are innovative, only loyal employees are productive. This is very important in business. Today, when we look at business environment, and this is a subject of another day, we have the internal environment and we have the external environment. In the past, we have focused so much on the external environment, assuming that the internal environment is good. But with the time, we are coming to appreciate the role that is played by employees. And today we are focusing more on happy employees. If your employees are happy, they are going to produce. If your employees are not happy, no matter how much you pay them, if they don't have job satisfaction, your business will be affected negatively. So this is second point of enhancing employee engagement and productivity is very core. So to get there then, you have to be a master in emotional intelligence, to know, to understand, and to make them feel wanted, to make them feel that they woke up to come to the right place, to make them feel that all their efforts are appreciated. Okay, so I'm taking longer on that point because the focus has shifted in businesses today to the internal environment. We want to keep employees more happier. We want to keep them more engaged. We want to keep them more satisfied. We want to make them feel that every day they wake up, they come to the right place. And that has been proved to be a very good way of increasing productivity, innovativeness, and loyalty. My next point is about customer relations. That is now the outside environment of business. And emotional intelligence helps you to understand customer behavior. And when we were working on marketing, we took so much time here because customer behavior keeps on changing. Why? Nobody knows. It is just human nature. That today people want to dress more in jeans that are rugged and, unlike in the past where it was not like when we had baggy washes and no faded jeans. Why it is different today is simply because customer behavior keeps on changing. Full stop. Why? Nobody knows. It is human nature. Today, customers want to have eateries in supermarkets, unlike what was there in the past. So today you find supermarkets are investing some spaces where you sit and eat. Unlike in the past, it was not like that before. Why it is like that? Because the customer says so. There is nothing you can do about it. That's the way it is. That today people want to drive smaller cars that don't have big bodies, unlike a few years back. Nobody knows why. It is human nature to keep on changing and varying their behavior. So as a business owner, you need to understand customer behavior so that every day you are in tandem with customer behavior. The reason why today you queue in a bank, instead of standing, now you have to queue seated, it is still customer behavior. They want to sit down now. So give them seats. Why is it like that? Again, it's human nature. So as a master in business, emotional intelligence, then you have to invest in customer service to increase customer loyalty and repeat business by focusing on their nature. Next, Mantui. The reason why, again, you have to understand emotional intelligence is for effective conflict resolution. Where you have human beings, you are going to have conflicts. Why you have conflicts is because everybody thinks differently. And because in these businesses, you already have staff, even if it's 1 or 2 or 10 or 20, then emotional intelligence will help you to invest in conflict resolution methodologies that have good outcomes and helps navigate through conflicts with empathy and self-control. Because if issues are not resolved quickly in business, productivity is affected. Once again, human nature is like that. We come with different ideas, and sometimes the ideas conflict. Today, we are investing more in alternative dispute resolution methodologies, and it's good for businesses to invest in that because in the past, or what we have as conventional is going to court. And this going to court is adversarial, it's a win-lose methodology that we use. Over time, that has been seen as not very good for business because it's a win-lose. And somebody who has lost in an argument goes back to look for even tougher arguments to come and present. It is good to invest in alternative dispute resolution mechanisms because they focus on a win-win. Okay, and focusing on a win-win, everybody walks away happy. So as you learn in mediation, we want to focus, we want to invest in win-win solutions, whether it's between employees, business to business, business to customer, and all these, spaces. Emotional intelligence understanding will help you to have effective conflict resolution methodologies, and it is important. The next point is improvement of negotiation skills. Every business would have to invest in negotiation skills that are relevant and are productive, because leaders with strong emotional intelligence can read the emotions of others and be able to have beneficial agreements and close deals. You want to close a deal that is profitable to you and your business. And once again, you want to close a win-win deal, not a win-lose deal. It is human nature to feel like our argument has won at whatever cost. But in business terms, win-win solutions are the best because everybody walks away with something. So when you have that understanding as a business owner, as a business enterprise, it's always good to know that a win-win is always mutually beneficial to many parties, whether it's a business to business negotiation, whether it's business to customer, or whatever mechanism it is. Closing a deal that is a win-win in nature is what we work for. The next point is effective conflict resolution, better stress management. And where you have human beings, whether they are employees or even you, the employer, stress is one element that is always with us. And as such, stress levels in us, stress levels in our customers, stress levels in our employees or staff affect our business. And so a good understanding of emotional intelligence will help you to create tools to manage stress. Will also make you have come up with, decisions that are clear-headed, or decisions that are fair, and decisions that are, again, a win-win. So a win-win solution is always great for business. Next. Yes, the next point why we need emotional intelligence in MSMEs is to increase our innovation and problem solving. Because once you manage the negative emotion of employees, they become more productive. And a more productive employee is manifested in sharing of creative ideas and innovation. Innovation is generating of new ideas. In an environment where emotional intelligence or people are struggling or employees are struggling with the emotional issues, new ideas don't come up. New ideas or innovations don't come up because employees are not encouraged, they don't feel safe to come up with new ideas because they are scared, because they are curtailed, or because they feel maybe their good ideas are too good for you because possibly you are not a good employer. So you have to understand emotional intelligence in your business to increase innovation and problem solving so that new ideas can come up because they come up in an environment where an employee feels needed, appreciated, compensated, and waking up feeling like feeling like they are in the right place. The next point why we need emotional intelligence in business is to improve adaptability and resilience and a capacity to manage change. Every business environment is susceptible to changes. The last 4 years have seen businesses in the world change a lot because of the 2020, 2021 corona or COVID-19. And that's just an example. And every business should always be ready to navigate through any changes that come. I was telling you last time that when Corona came in 2020, is the first time we heard of Zoom. And we started conducting these trainings in Zoom. I had never heard of it before. I heard of it in March 2020 when we wanted to go ahead with this Inuka presentations. And now we could not meet physically. So we were introduced to Zoom. So you should be ready to have emotional capacity to understand emotional intelligence, to be able to manage change and to recover from failures. Because failures will come in different capacities in business. There is no business that works from success to success. Businesses grow through failures and change management. The next point is on better teamwork and collaboration. And you need to understand emotional intelligence, be stronger in team dynamics to create a productive team by promoting understanding, respect, and effective communication in your team. Without a team with strong dynamics, then your productivity and bottom line is affected. And finally, we need to invest in emotional intelligence for MSMEs for sustainability of business growth and building of lasting relationships, positive business culture, and having a healthy work-life balance. That is very important. Sustainability of any business is very important. And we discussed last time that 95% of businesses that are startups don't do 5 years. Not because the owners don't want it, but because they are not started with sustainability in mind, or somewhere along the way they are articulated cannot guarantee sustainability beyond 5 years because they have poor working relationships, they may have a negative business culture, and they may have a poor work-life balance. Next, Montowi. Now, for us to succeed in emotional intelligence, then you, the entrepreneur, must have some minimum requirements, or you must work to have some requirements or some, states of preparation or some skills. And the first very important skills to have is your self-awareness, because you are also a human being. First of all, before you form a company, you are a human being. You should first of all understand your emotional state. And once you do that, then, once you understand your own emotions, you understand how to work with them and how to work with your business without allowing your emotions affect the business, your negative emotions affect the business. And one way is to create policies that are devoid of emotions, and also to create a team that will be devoid of emotions or negative emotion as they work. So your self-awareness is a skill you need to have as an entrepreneur. Another skill you need to have is self-regulation. And in self-regulation is how you control your emotional reactions. And this one speaks more to the, those businesses that are worked by one person, the sole and proprietorships. Controlling your emotional reactions and clear thinking brings rational problem solving or decision making. So apart from self-awareness, you should understand your self-regulation to make sure that your negative emotion does not affect negatively your business. The next skill you should have as an entrepreneur is empathy. And empathy is about putting yourself in the shoes of the customer all the time. And if you do that, or when you do that, you are going to find that your business is going to grow because of strengthened partnerships with customers, because you understand where they are coming from. You take seriously their reviews. You take seriously their suggestions for improvement, and you are showing commitment to improving their interaction with your product, whatever it is, because you have empathy, because you can put yourself in their shoes. And that is what we call empathy for strengthened partnerships. Next. The next skill to have as an entrepreneur or work towards having, because you cannot have all of them, we want to work towards having social skills. And this is about strong social skills to influence, persuade, and lead teams. Influencing, persuasion, and leadership are skills that are very important in business, because for growth, you have to work on your persuasion skills. For growth, you have to work on influencing skills. Today, we have businesses that are even hiring influencers. Like every day, we have these large buying companies. I see them every day on TV. They are looking for influencers to talk well about their businesses. And if you look at every company has hired an influencer, people who already have a good standing with customers. So when they tell you about land, you take it quickly. They'll even tell you they have land themselves in those companies, which might not be true, but because you believe in that person, you are going to buy because you have been influenced positively by the presence of that person. Ukienda kununua shamba pahali, you are told even so and so is your neighbor here, this lawyer this is here, this MP this, the plot is near to this facility, This is persuasion. And you should have capacity to lead a team. The next skill to have is adaptability and flexibility. And because we are talking of emotions, management of emotions is very important in every business. And that is why you can invest in a team, because a team makes a decision that is fair. You invest in policies because policies are not personal. Policies are fair or designed to be fair. So as an entrepreneur, you should have good adaptability and flexibility because you are good at managing of emotions, your own emotions, emotions of staff, and sometimes even the emotions of customers. In fact, all the time. Then you should have good conflict resolution skill, because you are working with people, and people will disagree from time to time. Whether it is within your own staff or within customers, you are going to have disagreements. And disagreements are sorted out by listening to both sides of the disagreement. And most importantly, to have win-win solutions. And win-win solutions come from alternative dispute resolution today, because the other systems we have had is adversarial, and it creates an enemy, it creates a happy partner and one who is not happy. So in business, we always want a win-win. A win-win is always great for business. So next, another skill you need is decision making. I stated at the beginning that the whole reason why we listen to these webinars, the whole reason why we go to school to learn management, the whole reason why we learn marketing and all these things to do with business is to make a quality decision. So entrepreneurs who manage their emotions are less likely to make decisions based on fear, frustration, or overconfidence, because you know that to make a good decision, you should have better involvement, and better involvement brings less emotional states. You are not going to make decisions because you are frustrated or overconfident. You are going to make a fair decision because that is the way to go in business. Another skills to have is resilience and stress management. This state that helps you to come back from failure. And coming back from failure requires a lot of resilience and stress management, because not all of us are good at a comeback. But when it is anticipated, then you need a very strong fiber of emotional intelligence to be able to come back, because you learn this to use. You also need very good communication skills, because emotional intelligence enhances communication and communicating in a way that is constructive. Any business or every business should invest in communication skills that to keep the customer engaged and to keep the customer coming back. There is nothing as frustrating as seeking information from a business and it's not forthcoming. One time I was applying for a passport, and we have this e-citizen, and I kept attaching birth certificate, ID, and so on. Then the whole day I tried to attach them, they were not working. Until I attached the ID. The ID was JPEG. I didn't know that all these documents are supposed to be JPEG. Was it communicated anywhere? No. I learned by chance that kumbe walikuwa wanataka JPEG. Anywhere in the whole platform, it is not stated. But the whole day I kept trying to attach a birth certificate here, which is PDF. They were all in PDF except the ID. So communication is very important as a skill. And of course, after that experience, my emotions were all over and I needed management. Anyway, these are some of the skills that we need as a business owner, whether it's a micro, small, or medium, to be able to improve in your business because you have a good understanding of emotional intelligence. Next. Next slide, Mantwi. Right. Now we are going to go through a number of steps. There are actually 12 in number. And as you have realized, my slides have a lot of content, because from your reference, I've had a lot of feedback from you saying you like to have for later, reading and so on. So that is why I've tried to make them have a lot of content. So you have a business today, and you like to establish emotional intelligence mechanisms, then I've come up with a number of steps that we need to invest in. And these steps, even in our to-do slide at the end, it will be based on these steps so that we can create you can move your business from point A to B because you are investing in emotional intelligence. So step number 1 is to develop self-awareness in leadership. That is business leadership. And the first thing you do is self-reflection. Understand yourself first. And to understand yourself first, you need to know what are your blind spots. And to understand your blind spots, you need to take emotional intelligence assessments or even the popular personality tests. It's good to know whether you are a sanguine in nature, whether you are choleric in nature, whether you are phlegmatic in nature, whether you are melancholic in nature. It is good to have a self-awareness. Without self-awareness, you cannot be able to conduct a business because you need to understand yourself. If you are phlegmatic like me, slow moving, business that requires, to require some planning, some articulation with time, a bit laid back. But, if you are melancholic, you are perfectionist, These are like the IT, those who make yes, no decisions. If you are choleric, powerful, things like those who do branding, and so on. So to understand you versus the business you do, it's good to invest in your self-awareness. And this one is very easy to do. Today, you can just go to a laptop and do an intelligence, a personality test to understand yourself so that you can know what are my blind spots. And the colleagues can help you to identify the blind spots, can help you to do the overall self-reflection, to know if you are this personality, what is your ideal business? And I think we did this session before in another package, because most likely the businesses we do are a reflection of us. And if you can look at the business you do, most likely, if you didn't go for it to it for money, if you went to that business to make a difference, most likely that business is a reflection of you. So self-awareness, number one. Number two is to encourage self-regulation practices. That is, introduce stress management techniques like meditation in your business, set guidelines for responding to conflicts, and encourage employees to take breaks. In your business, conflict resolution is very core because you are working with people. So you can bring in mechanisms like ADR to manage stress in an organization or in your business. You can establish areas where employees can feel comfortable. Today, businesses are adopting safe spaces. By safe spaces, I mean there's a place you can even sit on your own and have a break from work. Somewhere you can go and take some coffee all your own. Somewhere you can go and bask. Safe spaces where you can take emotional breaks. And this is something that is new today, that was not there in the past. So encourage this, encourage solution of, encourage resolution of disputes through ADR so that you can put it in your rules. You can put it in practices. You can have discussions. Like I've worked in a place where every Monday morning, whenever we met for we had a meeting, the first thing we did is to say how you are doing as a person, not what the project is doing, but how are you as a person? How is your family? Are they okay? Are they good? It feels a bit personal, but it was so fulfilling that somebody would like to know how you are first, so that if you have a problem, you could be given leave to go and sort something out. And that one did a lot of good. Number three, to establish emotional intelligence in your business, you need to promote empathy and understanding. This you can do by providing training to staff, something like active listening. You can hire experts to come and talk to staff about empathy, how to communicate, how to listen actively, we don't listen to respond. We listen to process first, so that customers can feel they have been heard. Colleagues can feel they have been heard, and fostering a culture where members check on each other. Like, how are you doing? I've worked for organizations where you have a tree where everybody is assigned another staff to know, especially in times of crisis, to know how is that person doing, and you report upwards every week, just to know how are they doing, because sometimes we wear a very good front, but we are burning behind us. So you can promote a culture where members check on each other, the MD checks on you, asks you how you are doing, if you have any issues that are disturbing you, because we are humans. So step number 3 is to promote an empathy and understanding. You can hire people like us to come and talk to your staff, or to engage them in team building activities that will help them to listen to each other and help them to foster a culture where we care for each other and we check on each other often. Next slide. Number 4 is to enhance communication and social skills through training sessions. Like you can hire experts to come and talk to the staff for your 2 or 10 or 20 staff on communication and conflict resolution. And on conflict resolution, I've kept on repeating and repeating and repeating that it is good to invest in alternative dispute resolution, because we inherited a resolution mechanism that is adversarial in nature, where you go to court and you have, first of all, it takes too long to get an outcome in court. You're already seeing the cases we have in court. They take too long. And at the end of the day, there is a bitter person and a happy person. So today, we are investing in ADR because of win-win solutions. Everybody walks away happy. Then you can enhance communication and training on social skills by having an open door policy in your workplace, where everybody can be able to reach you and discuss their concerns with you. Open door does not just mean simply opening the door to your office. It means you are ready to engage. You are ready to listen. You are ready to support. It's not just having opening the door. No, it's having readiness to listen, and somebody feels that he can come to you for a solution. You need to enhance regular team meetings to improve collaboration. Meetings are very important, and not just online meetings. We still value face-to-face meetings, because face-to-face meetings, you can see more than is being said. Remember at the beginning, we said listening more to what you are being told, listening beyond what you are being told. So regular team meetings, like we had the same environment I was telling you about. We used to meet every Monday, face-to-face. That one was mandatory, face-to-face. Then from there, you can have as many online meetings as you can. But face-to-face meetings, you laugh, you look at each other, you can tell who is not doing well and who is doing well. So regular team meetings in enhancing communication and social skills is step number 4. Step number 5, you need to create a positive work environment by recognizing and celebrating employee achievements. That does not mean you always give them expensive gifts. Even saying a simple thank you. Like the last month, we hit good sales because of customer number X. Thank you very much, and we appreciate. Celebrate them, make them feel, recognized. Then encourage work-life balance and respect for personal boundaries. Work-life balance today is important because it's not just about work. You don't want an employee who raises so much money or earns so much money from you then tomorrow he has a mental breakdown. So we want to have an environment where there is a balance between work and life. And you can start that right in your business. In your business, you can bring in facilities that bring in work-life balance. Like you can have breaks, you can have pool tables, you can have dartboards, something that distracts you a little bit from work. You can have chill spaces where you can just sit and just enjoy your coffee, they are called safe spaces today, where one can feel good about work, the environment. Create an environment that makes one feel at home. We are told that once upon a time, we used to have a minister in Kenya who used to have, he's a minister who impacted greatly in transport and communication. And it is said that he even used to have a bed in office. And every lunchtime between 1 and 2, he could take a quick lunch and have a nap for an hour because he wanted to have a safe space at his office. Every day he used to leave work at 6 and go home, because we need this work-life balance badly. Sometimes it's not just about work. We have people having strokes in office. We have people who have died in office because of taking work too seriously until they lose their lives. We have suicide cases in businesses because of taking work too seriously. So step number 5 is to create an environment that encourages celebrating of employees, encourages work-life balance, and having safe spaces where people can express themselves, and make it a working environment which is homely, and you can have snacks, you can have resting places, you can have places to sit. If you cannot afford that, then you can give them a break to go and do something on their own and come back. And today we even have undefined working hours. If I should clock in 8 hours in a day, it's not a must that it has to be 8 to 5. You can encourage your staff to work. If you come early, you can break early. You can choose to come in the afternoon and leave at night, as long as you clock 8 hours, because there are some people who are not morning persons. There are some people whose performance peak at noon. You have some workers who peak at 3, others at 6. Others are night workers. They are owls of work. So if you have an owl of work, then you have to allow them to work, maybe come at 3 p.m. and leave at midnight. But because it's part of making the work-life balance work. Others are early risers. They work best from 4 a.m. You can allow them to come at 4 a.m. and start working and leave at midday or at 10, So these are just examples of creating a positive work environment. Step number 6 is to implement emotional intelligence training. Here you can hire experts like ourselves to come and take your staff through trainings that are intended to improve their emotional intelligence. Today you even have online platforms and even courses that one can take. We have a lot of materials online that your staff can take to improve themselves in emotional intelligence. You can invest in webinars like the one we have today talking about emotional intelligence. You can offer mentorship programs for your employees, whether it is 1 employee or 2 or 10 or 20. Step number 6 is about implementing emotional intelligence training, because we learn so many things by training. We don't come to this world knowing many things. So it can be intentional for your business to invest in mentorship programs, online, physical, and so on. And this one can go in a big way to improving your emotional intelligence among your staff to impact in your business. Next. The seventh step is leading by example. And sometimes we don't do very well here. One of the items you have to note by leading by example is to learn how to actively listen to staff or employees or workers or stakeholders. We don't listen to respond or to react. We listen first to process and respond. And when we respond with empathy. By empathy simply means you are responding after putting yourselves in the shoes of the one you are listening to. But most of the time, we are quick to read the guidelines. If an employee is late, you are quick to say, oh, here we come at 8. So why are you, this one is, you are late because you have not reached here at 8. Listen first. What could be the issue with about lateness? It could be a personal problem one is going through. It could be maybe a customer, your own staff met along the way and needed some time to buy your products more. You don't know. So leading by example includes listening actively. It also involves emotional resilience and remaining focused even when things are going south. When things go south, as we say, you need resilience. You need soberness. You need not make quick decisions. You need to sleep over decisions because leading by example demands that the solutions that you're going to create at the end of the day, they are focused and they are not reactive. Yeah, they are responsible. And another very important thing about leading is acknowledging mistakes when they happen openly and with emotional maturity. Sometimes, especially employers don't acknowledge their mistakes when they come. Mistakes are human, and so we are human. So we must always be ready to acknowledge mistakes. Step number 8 in establishing emotional intelligence in your business is to provide feedback and recognition. It's always good to conduct regular reviews that include emotional intelligence assessment for its staff and always seeking feedback for your products. Today, we have customer reviews. I can tell you these are personally, I really value this because most of my working requires a lot of traveling and most of the time spending in hotels. And before I book a hotel, I always go to customer review. And the customers are always frank. You'll see, you'll assess, you pick like 10, and you see the assessment and the way they have reviewed a hotel. They can't be wrong. So conduct and accept also reviews from customers. Create mechanisms also to be reviewed by own staff, and always take it positively with emotional intelligence. Then always offer constructive feedback and recognize and reward employees who demonstrate high levels of emotional intelligence. This is very important because for productivity, employees need to be rewarded. And rewarding is not just money, even a simple thank you, especially for those who have demonstrated high levels of emotional intelligence that has impacted highly for your business. This could be something as simple as conducting a good induction for a colleague or being supportive to a colleague who is new at work. It doesn't have to be very big. So providing feedback and recognition is a useful step. The next step, very important in establishing emotional intelligence business, is to foster a collaborative team culture. So you need to create a team that is responsive to emotional intelligence that accommodates different perspectives, and a team that communicates openly because they are not fearful of what the repercussions. They don't feel judged. They don't feel like they're going to talk something today and later face consequences. And you need to create a team that is a working team, that has high cooperation, that has high trust. And when they work, they don't feel judged. So step number 9 is about fostering such a team that is collaborative. You can take them through team, or you can organize team building activities for this, so that they become a cohesive team that has noted all their positive attributes and how they work towards creating a common good for the business. Next. Now, the last 3 steps. Step number 10 is to establish emotional intelligence in your business. You need to measure and track emotional intelligence progress. Today, you can take surveys. Unfortunately, today, we have templates which are available online. You can just plug and play so that you can be able to use them to survey the emotional intelligence or the emotional states of your employees. You can be able also to get such tools to track customer feedback online, because tools are today available. And you can be able to monitor team dynamics and the turnover of employees, the turnover of customers, the turnover of goods, the turnover of products that you're offering in the market. Today, you can be able to measure and track emotional intelligence progress because the tools are available. So as a good employer, we should always put in place measures and to track emotional intelligence in your staff and also in your partners. Why? Because a positive or growth in emotional intelligence reflects in your bottom line. Number 11, the next step is to build resilience and emotional support systems. And here you can encourage a growth mindset where failures are seen as learning opportunities, because businesses are going to have setbacks, and every setback is a learning opportunity. Then providing access to resources for mental and health support. Once again, going back to how you support your teams to manage their mental health and other states of health at the workplace, to build that resilience and encourage emotional growth, and also developing a peer-to-peer support network where employees can share experiences and know that, first of all, they are human, and they were human before they came to work for you, because that is the nature of human beings. The last step is how to adapt a feedback and continuous improvement mechanism to build a culture, a working culture that supports emotional intelligence, and a culture that is productive in as far as capturing emotional intelligence is concerned. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can see it's already 10:14, and our first 45 minutes are gone. So I will encourage you to open a few questions for 5 minutes. Then we take a 10 minutes break and come back. Thank you. I wish to welcome Mantui to manage this 5 minute session.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Duncan, for taking us through that first part of emotional intelligence. Gotten to understand a bit more about how we can handle the emotions, not only of ourselves, but of the people we work with. And I think I can just start with the first question is, when you mentioned self-regulation, maybe you can share with us, what does that look like in a high pressure environment when facing the day-to-day challenges that come with and pressures that come with business? So what can you share more about self-regulation? How does it look like practically?
Okay, thank you very much. As self-regulation, first of all, is understanding yourself. And whether you're in business or not, take a step to understand what kind of a personality you are. That is a very, very powerful start. Whether you're in business, whether you're an employee, whatever you are. Many people don't know their personalities. And the sooner you know your personality, the better. Because you know what works for you. You know what the kind of businesses that work for you. You'll know so much about how you respond and so on. So self-regulation, first of all, is understanding yourself. Number two, now you can put mechanisms that work for your kind of personality. Because we have basically 4 types of personalities that I've listed earlier. And I gave my example that I'm a phlegmatic. So I know what works for me, and all businesses I do, my mechanisms I put in place. First of all, I don't like fast-moving decision making because I process slowly. So I make sure I work or do businesses that don't require those split-second decision making and so on. So those are the kind of mechanisms and self-regulation that you put in place once you understand your personality, and that is going to reflect in all the businesses that you are going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. Then we have an anonymous attendee who asks, what is the estimated emotional intelligence financial cost for MSMEs?
Okay, that's a very good question. Establishing emotional intelligence will cost, yes. It will cost in terms of time. It will cost in terms of money. It will cost in terms of everything else. But what is important in the 7 steps is to identify especially the costless elements and start with them. After that, you can pick elements that don't cost much and invest with them, because this is a journey. And being a journey, you have to start somewhere and end somewhere. So the cost will be determined by your articulation, but you can always start with the costless, then you progress to elements that cost what you can afford. And definitely now with time, you are going to engage in more costly elements depending on the returns. Doesn't mean something is expensive, you give big returns. So you have to assess the mechanisms vis-a-vis what they cost, and you do the cost benefit analysis. But whatever the case, start somewhere, start with the costless, and you progress. It's a journey, it's not an event. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Duncan. Allow me also to welcome. I've noticed we have had a lot of first-time participants in this
Yes.
session, so karibuni sana. And I know there are many questions around previous sessions. So what usually happens once you've registered and you attend a session, Zoom will send you an email. You'll receive an email from Zoom with like today's session will be sent out tomorrow with the recording and the presentation. But after a while, we just send the current session's recording and the previous session's recording. But at the end of the program, we will upload all these sessions on our website. So just visit the DTB website. We will also share it on the chat, where you'll find the previous year's presentations, as well as now at the end of this forum, you'll find the sessions that have been had. So I hope that answers a lot of the questions around that. Then maybe we can take one more question, and then the rest of the questions will attend to them at the end. So Martin Kimathi has a question, but it's a bit different from, I think, the topic, which is from his own observation. He has realized that highly successful entrepreneurs are unlearned people. Why does it look like that?
That's a very interesting question. That highly successful people, they are not academic giants. I call it interesting because, yes, we have many, many examples First of all, there's the element of time. Most of us who first go to academics, academics takes time. So for the first 30 years of your life, 25 years to 30 years, you are in school. And so school doesn't teach you the streetwise skills. It is academics. So by the time you start learning how to start a kiosk at 25, somebody who didn't go to class 1 and went and started a kiosk at 12 years, by the time you are 30, he has done 18 years, and you are doing your year 1. So he has accumulated so much wealth of enterprise development than you. And that is why you find there's a difference between those who started early in business and those who started late. And that explains why you find that most entrepreneurs who might not have invested so much academically, they do so well because they have learned the skills out here more than you who is in class. Very interesting question. So I think at that point we shall take a break, and we come back after 15 minutes. That is at 10:37. Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
see you at 10:37. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as we go, please, I would encourage us not to share or market our businesses in the chat. This is so that we can just remain focused on the session of the day. A kind request. Thank you.
much. Yeah, we can proceed to the next slide. So as the slide loads, I've seen a comment that we have given so much content, which is true. I think this is a good feedback for us. Yes, the reason why we give a lot of content is for your reference. Otherwise, if it was a face-to-face, we would focus more on discussions, but every methodology has its own shortcomings. We can, we are limited in discussions because of the high number. I have 352 participants, so if we gave everybody a minute, then you will have so many hours. So forgive our methodology for now. That's why we give a little bit of content so that you can be able to come back and relate. Then we also give our contact, and I have had several of you contact through my email, and we always come back with more information, and we can do, more quality engagement. So for now, in 2.5 hours, this is what we are able to achieve. So let's progress. The next item or the next thing we look at now is how to improve your business from where it is to where you want it to be. And we take your business through a cycle, like we call it the emotional intelligence improvement cycle, because at the end of the day, we would like to improve our business. And I know we have startups here, we have micros, we have small, we have medium. Even the medium want to grow to multinational companies, they want to grow to international business. So we always grow because we have intentional, or we have intentions to grow. Doing better in emotional intelligence is something you purpose to do. And because you purpose to do, then you can take through a cycle of learning. The first thing you do is to assess your business. And we have tools. You can even get EI tools online free of charge to gauge where is your business now. Once you do that assessment of your business, your customers, your staff, and all those publics that your business deals with, then that might expose the training needs, training especially for staff, maybe awareness creation for customers, maybe training for board of management. So you identify these training needs, and now you can create training packages for them. Number 3 now is to apply what you have trained. You started from assessment, you have gone to identification of needs, including training needs. The next step is to apply and practice. When you are applying the new methodology that you have discerned is good for customers, is good for employees, is good for your publics, then they are going to give feedback. And this feedback, you are going to analyze it and see what they have said. Like, I've already seen your feedback and I've already responded on it. So the feedback will help you to do adjustments here and there in your methodology, in your assessment, in your picking of training intervention, and so on. And then you are going to reinforce and integrate that adjustment back to your practice. So this is a 6-step methodology on improvement of emotional intelligence in your business. So we are going to look at step by step in the next slide. Next. Next month, and there is somebody else talking online. Good. Now, these are the 6 steps that you have just seen in the previous slide, where the first one is about assessment and awareness. You are going to identify your current emotional intelligence levels. The reason why you are identifying them is because you want to slowly go through them, give them to your employees, give others to your customers to get a feedback on very specific items, like how you deal with customers, how you deal with staff inside. All these elements, you are going to intentionally bring them out through a kind of a questionnaire, through workshops. If you can do that, so people can just give their feedback. So that will help you to identify your current state. And this current state will help you to go through self-assessment and get feedback, whether it's feedback from your own staff, from your customers, from all the other publics you deal with, your suppliers, and so on. You are going to have a fair overview on how you have been operating and where now you can invest more in emotional intelligence. Having done that, then, number 2 is now training and development, where you provide targeted EI training to yourself, to your board, maybe to your staff, to your customers. Yes, you can do targeted training to customers to understand your product. Maybe to provide manuals on how to operate your product. Maybe to give information on expiry, to give information on what to do with the empty packs, maybe how to dispose them. All this is training. So there's no public that you deal with that cannot have a targeted EI training for. Then number 3 was how to apply and practice. So here you're going to encourage and practical application of EI skills in the workplace. You bring EI skills in your workplace through what? Work manuals, through change of policies, through change of practices, like the one I mentioned where you can even have staggered working hours. That is now applying in your company. You can have chill spaces for employees. You can create them. Now you are applying, you know. You can bring mentors, maybe once every month, talk to them. Now you are applying. You can have maybe an internal mentor. You can create a conflict resolution department. This is all application, okay? Then after doing all this thing, you get a feedback from all those efforts in step number 4, where you start getting active, continuous feedback. This one can be done through Mentimeters, where you can create even something online that all these publics are going to answer. An example is what you find in banks. When you visit a bank, especially at the counter, at the tellers, you find a small gadget there where you are encouraged to respond to a few questions. There could be 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. You just click yes, no, maybe you put you can have such mechanisms in your workplace where staff can give feedback. You can have a similar one for your suppliers. You can have a similar one for your customers and so on, so that you accumulate feedback. Fortunately, today, we have IT mechanisms that can help you analyze that feedback as it is being received. So it doesn't have to take another 1 year to. You can quickly churn through the feedback and get to relate what the feedback is about. You interpret, and now in number 5, you use the feedback now to adjust and improve your working. By adapting to the feedback, the suggestions that have come from feedback, you can create more new strategies and evolve your company positively forward, because you are now making use of feedback from all these publics, be they your employees, be they your board, be they your suppliers, be they your consumers. Everybody has a feedback. And I mentioned to you that there's one product I'm not happy about the way it is packaged. And I usually give feedback that I am not happy when I have to break my nails or look for knives and everything to open something very simple. Yeah, so that kind of thing, that information helps you to know how to proceed with emotional intelligence, capacity building for your organization. Then the last step is to reinforce that new behavior, to reinforce those new departments created, if there are departments created, to bring policy changes, to bring awareness of the policy changes and implement, and then go back again after some time back to assessment again. You can make it something you do every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, or whatever case may be. Yeah, so that is the EI improvement cycle that you will take your businesses through to improve on emotional intelligence. Next, Mantwi. So what are the consequences of poor emotional intelligence? The consequences of poor emotional intelligence are many. And I've just listed quite a few. Number one is high employee turnover and low morale. Whenever you find your business is having a high turnover, this could be an indication that something is not going well in your emotional intelligence. Employees become disengaged and are less productive because maybe they have given you so much feedback which you don't respond on. So that brings down their morale and become less productive. Because they are less productive and there is high turnover, you'll find yourself having very increased training costs and recruitment, because at any one time you'll be replacing somebody, and you know how expensive it is to train a new person, to induct a new person to the way you do your business. And so much of institutional knowledge is lost and skills, because workers come, get skills and go away. Before you know how, they are gone. So you're always at the starting point. So you will never quite implement your ideal business culture because of the high turnover. Consequences number two is ineffective communication and misunderstanding, where you find a lot of conflicts and inefficiencies in your organization because the staff are not ready to share experiences. They are inward looking. They are, feeling their feedback is not being considered. They create strained relationships. There is a lot of misunderstanding. And an organization that has internal unresolved issues with the staff, it reflects in the profit margin. And that is a consequence of poor emotional intelligence. The other one is poor conflict resolution. Organizations that are not good at emotional intelligence have poor conflict resolution mechanisms, and sometimes they spiral out of control. And that one causes employees to leave, employees to close in without creating a negative working environment, and definitely decreased productivity because of unresolved issues among them. Next one too. Another consequence of poor emotional intelligence is decreased customer satisfaction, because if you are poor with EI, then whenever they give their feedback, you don't take it well, and you don't respond on it. If you don't respond on it, then you'll have reduced customer loyalty, because they'll have told you once, twice, thrice, 4 times that they have challenges opening your product. So they will slowly switch to a product that is easy to use. Yeah. Then once you get those, you don't respond to poor reviews. You know that definitely whatever you deal with, the sales, whether they are physical products or services, the sales are going to decline and revenue is going to decline. And the decline of revenue brings issues of dissatisfied customers, and of course, You can't be able maybe to pay them. You can't be able to grow. And that is a consequence of poor emotional intelligence. Another consequence is limited teamwork and collaboration in your organization, where because you don't encourage your staff to grow, you'll find they are not ready to bring new ways of working. They are poor at innovation and problem solving because anything new from them is not appreciated, is not rewarded. And so you see limited collaboration and teamwork. You'll also people having tendencies to work in silos. Working in silos is every department doing their thing without collaborating with the other departments. So they are closed up, doing what they must do, but bringing poor collaboration. And when departments work in silos, productivity is limited. And because it is limited, it will lead to stunted growth of the business. And now this is what marks the difference between one business and the other one, because once some are stunted while others grow. So poor emotional intelligence will lead to stunted growth, will lead to limited teamwork and collaboration. Next. Okay, having looked at the consequences, those are just some. And there are so many. So what we have done is just look at a few, just to point home that you need to invest in emotional intelligence for success of business. So now I have 5 success factors for effective emotional intelligence for MSMEs. And as we have seen now so far, we have seen there is need to have a commitment of leadership to make things happen. And one of the things that should be made to happen is to institute emotional intelligence because of the benefits, because of the consequences that we have seen in my many slides. So commitment of leadership is very core as a success factor for effective emotional intelligence. We say a fish rots from the head, the same happens with organizations. The commitment, the of the top person reflects down through all the way to the last one, if I may call them so. Even in a family, you can tell the energy of a family by looking at the head of that family. There is no way you can have a very, uncommitted parent and with very committed children. The same way with organizations. The energy of the top is reflected all the way to the bottom. And because we learned through examples, I was telling you of an example of somewhere I used to work. Not because it was the best organization, it's just to illustrate that the managing director made sure that every day she came to your office just to ask you how you are doing. And it was not just pretense, just for the sake of, looking good. No. She came to your office just to drop by, take a seat, and just know how are you doing. Not necessarily on the work front, just how are you, That was a very powerful, commitment. And because it was powerful, the team became very cohesive. And we were allowed to work, to put in the hours that your 8 hours the way you wanted it. We only had one mandatory day, which was Monday, because the organization felt like face-to-face meetings are very important. The rest of the days, you chose to work from home or whatever, as long as everybody was aware where you are. work happened. I'm saying this to demonstrate. In that workplace, there was always tea and a snack at 10. And if the meetings took longer to lunchtime, the organization bought you lunch. In 6 months I worked there, there was a lot of gifts here and there. Maybe a hoodie here, a water bottle there. Just to keep the spirit going, to appreciate the small things, what you think is more that you do for the organization. But I've not come here to blow horns about an organization, but just to illustrate how commitment of top leadership is important as a success factor. So as a business leader, and the sticking here in number one is very intentional, that your commitment as a business leader determines everything else. In not only emotional intelligence, but in the total, sum total progress of the organization. Another success factor is continuous emotional intelligence training. It's always good to invest in capacity building of your staff, even on your customers. Build their capacity even to understand your products. What are they made of? What can they do to their bodies? What is your service about? Because they have to buy your why. Because you could have a product, but your why is not the way the product is exhibited. And I'll give an example. You can have a betting company, like we have so many today. And the so many today, their why is not very strong. Otherwise, many years ago, when you used to have one or two, betting was about giving to the community. So when you gave your 100 shillings, it was not about the money you are going to win. It was about the impact you are going to create in the community. When we had one or two, I'm just shying away from saying the names of the betting companies of the 70s and 80s and 90s. Every day they showed what they did with your money to meet the unfortunate. So when you came giving them 10 shillings, it was not about your winning. It was about the impact of meeting the vulnerable in the society. And every week they displayed where your money went. But just to keep the fire burning, what you win is just a by the way. Though today that's personal, I feel like the message has been changed. It's about how many millions I win. No. Educate your customers to know your why. So that if I know that my money goes to helping the vulnerable, now I'll bet more, not because I want to win. It's not about my winning. It's about impacting the community. Okay? Do the same for your product. Why do you sell sugar? Why do you sell salt? Why do you sell fertilizer? Why do you have a hotel? Let the customers know your why, so that they can be part of the why. So that's another success factor. The other success factor is open communication and feedback systems. As you have seen earlier, that is always good to have feedback and do something about it. You cannot grow if you don't act on feedback, whether it is internal, whether it is external. Always value feedback. Today we are lucky, we are in an IT environment. You can create very simple forms that you can send to your customers to fill within 2 minutes. And customers don't pretend, they just say it as it is. So make it a culture within your organization to seek feedback from your staff, from your suppliers, from every public you deal with, even county government, even let them have an idea what they really think about what you are doing. So having open communication and feedback systems is very core to establishment of emotional intelligence for your business. The next one is emotional well-being and support structures. So this one creates a healthy, emotionally resilient workforce. So focusing on the emotional well-being support structures in your organization is very core to the delivery of emotional intelligence resilient system, which helps you to advance your business objective even more. One, taking care of your employees, the internal environment of your business, knowing how they're making them feel appreciated to a point that they feel happier at work. You'll know an employee is happy if they are happy, if not equally the way they are at home, maybe even more when they are at the workplace, because they feel wanted, they feel appreciated, they feel their efforts are rewarded. And by the way, it's not always about the salary. Salary is just part of the motivator. You can have a high salary, but a very toxic environment, and people have left salaries and gone to work elsewhere where you have less money, but more appreciation. So the single most factor of, you know, happiness about the employees is not necessarily the salary. So emotional well-being and support structures, create support structures, give them some little tea, maybe, give them space to work, give them space to rest, give them, when they have problems, come in and support, have a welfare, like if you have a bereavement, we give you so much, we contribute so much. When you have a birthday, we can celebrate, you have a newborn kid, we can come and say hi with something small, Such things are support structures that help one feel appreciated at the workplace and rewarded. And that is a very important factor for effective emotional intelligence in your business that you should focus on. Number 5 is empathy-driven customer service. And empathy, we said by definition, is just putting yourself in the shoes of the customer. And you are able to put yourself in the shoes of the customer if you value the customer feedback about how they relate with your products, about how they can be served better, or what they think can be done to improve your product delivery. Maybe they need a smaller unit, maybe they want 5 kilos or 20, maybe they want 50 kilos of the same, maybe units, or how they even look. Maybe the appearance is not good, maybe utilization is not good. So empathy-driven customer service is where you put yourself in the shoes of the customer, and you do that by investing in feedback mechanisms, and you respond on them. It's not just fulfilling. There's nothing as annoying as giving a review or answering to a questionnaire and nothing is done about it. You feel abused. You feel your intelligence is abused. Your time is wasted, and you develop very negative feelings about a product. So these are the 5 success factors I thought we could share today on how you can improve your you can create effective emotional intelligence for MSMEs, for your business, and many others. This is just what time will allow us to look at. Next. So now we are coming towards the end of this facilitation. And I want again to look at just 5 takeaways for emotional intelligence for MSMEs. And you'll agree with me that we have seen through the whole presentation. Number 1, that emotional intelligence begins with leadership. And I took a lot of time there, and it influences the entire organization. I've even mentioned about an organization where I've personally worked in, where leadership took it upon themselves to lead from the front and create a staff that was emotionally intelligent, if I would say so, by every day finding out with genuineness, not just pretending, to know just how is the staff doing. And if you had a problem at home, they were keen to let you go and sort it. If you needed some money, you were quick to make that happen, to look for some money. So you'll ask me why did I leave then if that was the case? I left because the contract ended. And so I had to move on. But as one place I worked and felt very valued. And, every day we met, it was not about the deliveries, about the job. First of all, it was about how are you doing as a person? If you have a headache, they will attend that first. Maybe you can take some drugs. Maybe you need something light to do. Yeah, you feel like somebody is valuing my service. So leadership, it starts with the top. And one of the best takeaways we can have here is you as a top leader of your organization. You are the change agent who's going to make these changes happen. Then empathy strengthens relationship with customers. Yes, empathy is about putting yourself in the shoes of the customer. It is going to strengthen the relationship because we are going to value their feedback and act on their feedback. There's nothing as bad as not acting on feedback. Good and bad. Feedback is feedback. Depending on how you look at it, it might sound bad on paper or the way it has been said because of the way it has been presented, but there is this aha meaning like, okay, this is what somebody has said. He may not have said it in a very good words, but I think he means this. It can be very positive depending on how you look at it. Another takeaway for me is effective communication promotes collaboration and it reduces misunderstanding. Yes, when you communicate effectively and you value feedback of all the publics that you deal with, collaboration goes up. It will go up because you'll have a shared why. Nobody will not understand why you came together, why you are doing businesses together, and what you can do to grow yourselves with all your publics together. So, yes, effective communication promotes collaboration. My next, sorry, takeaway is managing stress through AI leads to better decision making and better business outcomes. Yes, investing in emotional intelligence leads to better decision making because especially the staff, they feel appreciated and they give their best. And because they give their best, the bottom line for your business is good. The relationships are good. So as a takeaway, it is good to know that when you manage stress through AI, it leads to better decision making. But this is not done by accident. It is intentional. You have to invest in it. You have to invest in the 12 steps that can help you create a tool. And you invest in the steps and you make things happen. It's not something that will just come. It requires some proactive nature. The next takeaway is that emotional intelligence improves conflict resolution, fostering a healthier and more productive workplace. Yes, yes, yes. Because you have invested in emotional intelligence, you have invested in conflict resolution methodologies like mediation, then you'll have less conflicts. When you have less conflicts, people understand their mandates more. When they understand their mandates more, they don't work in silos anymore. When they don't work in silos anymore, productivity goes up. So those are the 5 takeaways. I took them to takeaways, but I'm sure you have so many. Maybe you can post them somewhere And as we go to the next session, you can tell us what is your takeaway. Next slide. Yeah, so I had hinted earlier that when we go through every training, we like focusing on something you can do on your own. And I thought that on your own, as we finalize this presentation, you can be able to look at the 12 steps of establishing emotional intelligence in your business, where you looked at developing a self-awareness, encouraging self-regulation, promoting empathy and understanding, enhancing communication skills, creating positive work environment, implementing EI training, leading by example, providing feedback, fostering collaborative team culture, tracking EI progress, building EI support systems, and adapting continuous improvement. So you can take those 12 steps and decide what you can do maybe in every month from month 1 to 12 or beyond, in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year. You can create a tool out of this. You can take to your employees. You can review it together and have a tool to measure how you can improve emotional intelligence in your company, in your small business, in your big business, and maybe in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you can see where that leads to, because we have to take action. All this training we do here, if you don't take action, it's not useful, because a human being has a tendency to go back to the old familiar ways. And because this is a training, the best you can do to yourself is every training we take, pick something and challenge yourself to change something, no matter how minute. This will be, you still have 2 more, this will be 7 packages. What will you do with 7 packages? You have done some before. What have you done? So that we are not on the same point every time we meet. We should be able to say, since we began this training, I've moved from point X to Y. And that is the spirit. So I encourage all of you, 365 of you, or those are these 65 businesses, take that spirit to always change something. And life is a changing, process for all of us. Otherwise, we come to the end of this training. Next slide. We are at 11:16, so we are going to invest the next 15 minutes, 14 minutes in question and answer. Otherwise, I'm very happy to present. And we have been able to look at what emotional intelligence is, steps, we have looked at the consequences, we have looked at how you invest, how you can grow your business, and now we are here. So let me hear your questions now, or even comments.
Right, thank you so much, Duncan. And as Duncan has shared, you can share your key takeaways in the chat. As always, we are impact oriented, and so we would love to see how best you have taken on today's session, but also previous sessions as well. And that's why we constantly insist on getting to hear what has worked for you, what are you implementing, what have you changed. So we'll spend the next few minutes answering the questions, and then we can conclude. So we have anonymous attendee who's asking, rewarding employees is one of the challenges that leaders face. Employees get bored with reward systems over time. How often should this be reviewed, and what key factors should leaders prioritize at any given time?
Right. Rewarding of employees does not have to be monetary in the first place. Even a simple thank you. Or even in meetings, you can say, yes, last week we were doing this and this team did very well and we appreciate them. Will not cost you anything. You can also proactively create events like every year where you identify what an employee has done and how you reward them. So for small organizations that don't have much money, you can start by just word of mouth, saying thank you. And when they have a problem, you can always come in to assist them. As you grow, you can have enough resources to even have like annual appraisals an annual rewards where everybody attends, and the best way is to find what to reward in everyone. It's not just about bringing money. You can reward an employee for keeping time. You can reward another one for being a good listener, coming up with solutions. You can really reward another one for coming early to work. You can identify metrics that you can be rewarded on, but rewarding is not necessarily monetary. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I want to couple two questions. So there's one that says, how do you go about a boss who doesn't follow his own work schedule and is always last minute in matters work, hence affecting your general productivity? And I want to join that one with how do you handle an employer who is emotional and who can take whatever is reported without investigating the incident? And the last one, because I think it's the same theme, how do you handle a boss who is always late with salary payments? Yeah.
Okay, those are very good questions. Usually, for organization, people who start organizations, including you and me, sometimes our bad tendencies catch up with us, and we have this fear that we are losing the business to somebody else. So when you work in such an organization, it's usually very toxic because your boss could be the problem. All right. So there are several options. Of course, one is to get another place to work. But when you are inside there, when you are at it, you can start suggesting working on systems that bring some order and improve emotional intelligence. So you can be proactive as your department to come up with ways to promote ways and suggested very politely and in a way that does not seem to antagonize anyone. That way, slowly by slowly, you have systems that will keep the messes out of the way, will structure what you do, and now the boss will not have anywhere to hit you directly because you'll have policies. For late payments, again, it's a policy issue. You can sit and decide and suggest how late a payment can be. If you want to be earning every 5th of the month, but put it as something progressive because even the boss understands that you need the money. So be the change that you want to bring in that organization. And at the end of the day, if something doesn't work, we change the environment. We should not get stressed there forever. In any case, that is somebody's organization. So yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. So I'll also now join some personality questions. So we have patients who is asking for tools that are available online for personality tests and customer feedback. I can also just share that usually there is the 16 personalities by Myers-Briggs. It's usually a very comprehensive personality test. Doesn't necessarily group into melancholic and phlegmatic, but to give you a really good idea. But then now we also have an anonymous attendee who asks, based on your experience engaging with business owners of different personalities, how do these personalities affect business success, like a melancholic running a company that requires vibrant engagements?
Yeah. My experience, okay, first of all, the tools. You have already concluded on that, and that's good. We have very many tools online for personality tests, and I encourage all of you, please, if you have never known your personality, please. There is nothing bigger you can do today than just knowing your personality. It will answer so many questions that you have had since you were born. And the Myers-Briggs is one of them. I think Mantui can even type somewhere on the chat, the Myers-Briggs tests. Yes, the general ones are 4, but when you get there, you'll find there are so many others. And it's good to do those tests so that you can know your personality type. I want to say from experience that There are so many bosses who started businesses before they understood themselves. But I can tell you that the best business you can run is the one that rhymes or is aligned with your personality, because you'll never struggle, or one that is aligned with your hobby. Now, a hobby is a reflection of your personality, right? So the why of business, there are businesses which are started for making of money, where the motivation was just to make money. You've heard somebody is importing cars, and you have money, you come start importing cars, but you don't know your personality. Me, my experiences, know your personality, and usually when you start a business, you'll know you won't struggle. And that is why I do what I do, because I don't struggle. I don't struggle to do what I do, because finally I came to terms with what my personality is. Try it and you'll see the results. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So we have Anthony Masibo, who asks, as a manager, how can I handle a reserved employee who feels he knows much more than others?
Managing an employee who feels he knows more than others? Well, number one, that's an expression of personality. And being an expression of personality, then as an employer, you can fit him where his personality fits best. Some of us just get jobs because you wanted a chief, a COO, I apply and get. Then when I land there, you find my personality is very different. Why not structure my position and make me a salesperson? So you have to utilize the personality, because that personality is not in vain. Maybe he knows more than others. Maybe it's a fact, he knows more than others. Where do you trace that knowledge? Identify where you trace that capacity, and things will be fine. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you. Then allow me to have one question. Then we have something we'd like to share with everyone, and then we can conclude. So Tom Jogo asks, how can I traverse my entrepreneurial journey? I need to start this business that requires enormous starting capital. What are the ways to raise capital? So this is a bit different. So maybe you can see if you'll be able to answer that. But I can also join it with something else. We have Jane who's asking, human resource and emotional intelligence, do they have similar principles?
Wow. Emotional intelligence and human resource. Uh, yes, they have a relationship, because at the end of the day, the human resource management is the one that is in charge of dealing with staff. So when you want to change the elements of emotional intelligence, they are better handled by HR department. And once they do their proposal, they take to the board of management, and now it reflects for everybody. So the source of change can come from the HR department by recommending the same and showing, demonstrating the results to the management. The management reports to the board, and the board leads now to creation of policies and so on. So yes, HR department is core to emotional intelligence advancement in a company.
Right. Thank you, Duncan. Allow me just to pause on the questions. And then we did receive some requests last week to continue answering a few of the questions that weren't answered. So what we will do, we will conclude and then officially close the session, and then we can spare maybe 5 or 10 minutes to answer the remaining questions. So if you have your questions, you can remain on the call, and then we can try and answer as many as possible. But at this point, allow me to share some sad news. For those who've been with us on this journey for the previous years, you may be familiar with one of our facilitators, Annabelle Waruguru. So unfortunately, we recently actually lost Annabelle. She had some sickness and unfortunately succumbed. And for those of you who remember Annabelle, she was actually a very kind, empathetic and hardworking leader. And it was always inspirational whenever you encountered Annabelle. And for those who actually searched through her sessions, perhaps you can attest to how memorable they were. And some can even be found on our website just to see the type of person that we have lost. And so it's been a huge loss for the team. And we just wanted to maybe just use 1 minute to have a minute of silence just in honor of her memory and in honor of her life. Yeah. So allow me to just begin the minute of silence. And you can join us in the same, and then we shall conclude. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We honor her memory, and yes, we celebrate the life that she lived. Right. So at this point, I think we can maybe take one more question and then officially close today's session. And then extend for those who have maybe some of the questions unanswered. Right. So all right. So Muritu Mbogo asks a question around it's a bit different, but I think it's one of the issues that have come up is the marketing that happens. Maybe as a business owner, you want to make your business known, and so sometimes what happens is maybe during in WhatsApp groups, there's the bombarding of marketing collateral. So how would you advise business owners to go about engaging their customers on the business and potential customers on the business's products and services? Yeah.
Yeah, if I got the question correctly, this is more of a marketing question. And when we did marketing package, we talked about the channels of communication or the channels of distribution for a customer, for business. So depending on the nature of business, if I got the questions right, the channels are dictated by the type of business. So it is the type of business that will dictate what channels to use and the products. Are they physical products? Are they, services? And depending on the service, it will dictate the channels. Today, we have a lot of IT that is working for the channels. You can see like most goods today, there's platforms that have come where you order and the item is delivered where you are, unlike where the customer used to go for the product. So, well, I may not have understood that very well, but I would just say that the marketing channel is determined by the nature of business.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Duncan. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow us to end the session here today. Thank you very much for your engagement and for taking time to join and ask questions. We hope that you will be able to implement this particular module in your businesses, and we look forward to engaging more on this. And so we would love to see you next week, same time, same place. We'll have our sixth session, and it's on risk and disaster management. So looking forward to hosting you. As always, please share your feedback even when you get the email from Zoom. help us know how we can improve, what has stood out for you, what you have taken away, and what you've implemented in your business. So thank you very much. I will officially stop the session here, and then thank you.